अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह वकफ़ा वस्सलातु वस्सलामु अला इबादिहिल्लज़ीना इस्तफ़ा खुसूसन अला अफ़ज़लिहिम व ख़ातमिन नबिय्यीन मुहम्मदिनिल अमीन व अला आलिहि व सहबिहि अजमईन। अम्मा बाद फ़क़द क़ाला अल्लाहु तबारक व तआला कमा वरद फ़ी सूरतिल बक़रह अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। या अय्युहल्लज़ीना आमनु इस्तईनु बिस्सब्रि वस्सलाह इन्नल्लाहा मअस्साबिरीन वला तक़ूलू लिमन युक़्तलु फ़ी सबीलिल्लाहि अमवात बल अह्याउन वलाकिन ला तशऊरून वलनब्लुवन्नकुम बिशैइन मिनल खौफ़ि वल जू'i व नक़्सिन मिनल अम्वालि वल अनफुसि वस्समरात वबश्शिरिस साबिरीन अल्लज़ीना इज़ा असाबतहुम मुसीबतुन क़ालू इन्ना लिल्लाहि व इन्ना इलैहि राजिऊन उलाइका अलैहिम सलवातुम मिन रब्बिहिम व रहमह व उलाइका हुमुल मुहतदून। व क़ाल तबारक व तआला कमा वरद फ़ी अव्वल सूरतिल अन्कबूत अलिफ लाम मीम अहसिबन्नासु अन युत्रकू अन यक़ूलू आमन्ना व हुम ला युफ्तनून वलक़द फ़तन्नल्लज़ीना मिन क़ब्लिहिम फलयअलमन्नल्लाहुल्लज़ीना सदक़ू वलयअलमन्नल काज़िबीन। व क़ाल तबारक व तआला कमा वरद फ़ी सूरतिल बक़रह अम हसिबतुम अन तदख़ुलुल जन्नत वलम्मा यातिकुम मसलुल्लज़ीना ख़लौ मिन क़ब्लिकुम मस्सतहुमुल बअसाउ वद्दर्राउ वज़ुल्ज़िलू हत्ता यक़ूलर रसूलु वल्लज़ीना आमनू माहू मता नस्रुल्लाह अला इन्न नस्रल्लाहि क़रीब। व क़ाल अज़्ज़ व जल कमा वरद फ़ी सूरति आल इमरान अम हसिबतुम अन तदख़ुलुल जन्नत वलम्मा यअलमिल्लाहुल्लज़ीना जाहदू मिनकुम व यअलमस्साबिरीन। व क़ाल जल्ल व अला कमा वरद फ़ी सूरति तौबह अम हसिबतुम अन तुत्रकू वलम्मा यअलमिल्लाहुल्लज़ीना जाहदू मिनकुम वलम यत्तख़िज़ू मिन दूनिल्लाहि वला रसूलिही वलल मुअ्मिनीना वलीजा वल्लाहु ख़बीरुम बिमा तअमलून। सदक़ल्लाहुल अज़ीम। रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली। अल्लाहुम्मा रब्बना अल्हिमना रुश्दना व अइज़ना मिन शुरूरि अनफुसिना। अल्लाहुम्मा अरिनल हक़्क़ हक़्क़न वरज़ुक़ना इत्तिबाअह व अरिनल बातिला बातिलन वरज़ुक़ना इज्तिनाबह। अल्लाहुम्मा इजअलना मिन इबादिका अस्साबिरीन। अल्लाहुम्मा इजअलना मिन इबादिका अस्साबिरीन। अल्लाहुम्मा अफ़रिग़ अलैना सब्रन व तवफ़्फ़ना मुस्लिमीन। आमीन या रब्बल आलमीन। Dear brothers and sisters and sons and daughters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. With the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and hoping and praying for His help, we begin with the fifth part of our selected course of study of the Quran, which we are discussing in these sessions. You must be remembering, I told you in the very beginning that this course of study has 6 parts. In the first part we have 4 lessons which are very comprehensive. The first lesson, Suratul Asr, which gives us 4 prerequisites, 4 conditions for salvation, 4 essential, inevitable, unavoidable conditions of salvation according to the Quran. वल-अस्र इन्नल इंसान लफ़ी खुस्र इल्लाल्लज़ीना आमनू व अमिलुस सालिहाति व तवासौ बिल हक़्क़ि व तवासौ बिस सब्र। By the token of time, verily all human beings are doomed except those who had the faith, then they performed good deeds, then they exhorted each other to whatever is just and right and true, and then they exhorted each other to have patience, have forbearance and steadfastness. I quoted, as you may be remembering, the saying of Imam Razi rahimahullah, "Ilam anna hadha al-ayah fiha wa'idun shadid." You should know that in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a very big, very severe warning. بأنه تعالى حكم بالخسار على جميع الناس, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has declared doom for the whole of humanity. إلا من كان آتيا بهذه الأشياء الأربعة, except for those who fulfill these four conditions. وهي الإيمان والعمل الصالح والتواصي بالحق والتواصي بالصبر. And those four conditions are faith, real faith, iman, then good deeds, then exhorting each other to good deeds, to whatever is correct, whatever is right, whatever is just, whatever is true, and then exhorting each other for patience and forbearance and steadfastness. وَدَلَّ ذَلِكَ, Imam Razi continues to say, وَدَلَّ ذَلِكَ, and this implies, this shows, this tells, أَنَّ النَّجَاةَ مُعَلَّقَةٌ بِمَجْمُوعِ هَذِهِ الْأَشْيَاءِ, that salvation is conditioned with all these four conditions. None of them can be omitted. So we had three more lessons in which, just like Surat al-Asr, all these four conditions are mentioned. Ayat al-Bir, that is ayah number 177 of Surat al-Baqarah. Then the second section of Surat al-Luqman. Then ayat 30 to 36 of Surat al-Hamim as-Sajdah. Then from the second to the fifth, these parts, second, third, fourth, fifth. In these parts of this selected course of study, in the second we discussed some places, some surahs regarding Iman, discussions on Iman. What is Iman? What are the articles of Iman? How Iman can be had? What's the synthesis of Iman? What are the constituent parts of Iman? How can they be synthesized? That was the subject of our second part. Third part discussed, and it related to different levels of good deeds, amal salih. The good deed at personal level, individual level. The good deed at the family level. The good deeds at the social level. What are the social evils which must be eradicated from the Muslim society? What's the concept of social values which must be probated in an Islamic society? Then you know the amal salih at the state level. What an Islamic state is, what are the essential constituents of the Islamic state, how the solidarity of Muslim Ummah can be maintained. That was our third part. In the fourth part now we studied those passages of the Quran in the fourth part, that related to jihad fi sabilillah. Because in ayah number 15 of Surah al-Hujurat we had that there can be no iman without jihad. The true mu'mins are only those who believe in Allah and His Messenger, then doubt not, and then make jihad for the cause of Allah and spend in it all their worldly belongings and their bodily resources. Only such people are true if they claim to be mu'mins. إنما المؤمنون الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله ثم لم يرتابوا وجاهدوا بأموالهم وأنفسهم في سبيل الله أولئك هم الصادقون. Now in the fourth part we had, first of all, the last section of Surah Al-Hajj. It concerns with jihad, details jihad, جاهدوا في الله حق جهاده. And what's the function of jihad? What's the goal of jihad? لِيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ شَهِيدًا عَلَيْكُمْ وَتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ. Then we studied Surah As-Saf, which I told you is the most comprehensive surah of the Quran on the subject of jihad fi sabilillah and qital fi sabilillah. Then the third lesson was Surah Al-Jumu'ah. We have just concluded it because it gives the basic methodology of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how he got and gathered those people who made jihad for the cause of Allah, how he trained those people who sacrificed everything they had, even their lives, for the cause of Allah, for the pleasure of Allah. This is the subject of Surah Al-Jumu'ah, which we have just concluded. Now the fourth lesson included in this fifth part, in the fourth part of this selected course of study, is Surat al-Munafiqun. But I am changing the sequence, and we are starting the 5th part of our selected course of study now. And Surat al-Munafiqun we shall discuss inshallah after we have studied Surat al-Ankabut. Now what is the subject of this? The 4th condition of salvation is sabr. What is sabr? Sabr, patience, forbearance, steadfastness. And there are many types of sabr. Sabr ala ta'ah. You need sabr to obey the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Unless you have sabr, you can't obey. Because at many times the commandment of Allah demands something which is painful to our body. On a very cold morning, you have to get up at the proper time to offer your Fajr prayer, to get out of the house, to go to the mosque. And there are countries, Muslim countries mostly, don't have the amenities, no air conditioning and no central heating, and getting up at that time and then praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making wudu with maybe ice cold water, all this needs sabr. Then fasting, and fasting can be in the months of June and July also, where there is, weather is very hot, very dry, then the days are very long, and then there are people who are laborers, who have to work hard to earn their livelihood, but they have to do fasting. It's imperative, it's a first. So actually, to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you need a lot of sabr. Then the second type of sabr, sabr anil ma'asiyah. Allah has forbidden it. Allah has declared it to be haram. And your nafs, your baser self, your id or libido, your animal instincts demand it. There's a desire. You may say the desire of the baser self, the lusts and desires coming from the lower aspect of our personality. Now you need sabr to restrain from it, to refrain from it, to not to go towards something which is haram. And this is sabr. Sabr anil ma'asiyah. Then sabr alal bala. There can be difficult conditions. Maybe some disease comes to you, and if you are moaning and groaning and complaining against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, well, this is not the way of a mu'min. You have to take it with sabr. Whatever comes to you, ma asaba min musibatin fil ardi wala fi anfusikum illa fi kitabin min qabli an nabraha inna zalika ala Allahi yasir. We studied it, in Surat al-Taghabun. Ma asaba min musibatin illa bi iznillah wa man yu'min billahi yahdi qalbah. So these are the 3 types of sabr. The 4th and the most important, and that actually is going to be the subject of this 5th part of the selected course of study, that is sabr that a mu'min is required to have if he is to wage jihad for the cause of Allah, if he has to fulfill the mission that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given him, because this ummah has been charged with a very high mission, the mission that the prophets and the messengers of Allah had to fulfill after the institution of prophethood and messengerhood of Allah coming to an end in the person of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That mission has been given to the ummah for all times to come. Now you have to convey the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to humanity at large. Now you have to wage jihad, make struggle for the cause of Allah, to make the deen of Allah supreme. And for that you will have to risk your lives, because there is no place on the surface of the earth where there is no system existing before. Some system is there, whether it is capitalism, or it is monarchy, or it is dictatorship, or it is feudalism, or so on, or it is secular democracy. What is secular democracy? Shirk and kufr. Because secular democracy, what does it mean? That actually sovereignty belongs to the people. It is shirk, it is kufr. Sovereignty belongs to him and him alone. So everywhere there is some system existing, and whatever the system, the political socio-economic system that is there in any part of the world, any country, any region, with that is associated vested interest. There are people who have vested interest, who have priorities, who have the amenities of life there. They have preferences, privileges, the privileged sections of the society, and their privileges are actually attached to the system. Their vested interest is attached to the system. When you want to change the system, there is a threat to their privileges and their interests. They are bound to resist. They will resist to their teeth. And then there has going to be places and occasions when you will be called to come in the battlefield and ready to lay down their lives. But this sabr actually is the subject of this 5th section of this selected course of study. And we are beginning it now with our study of these ayat. The background of these ayat is, these ayat appear in the second part of the Quran and the beginning of the 19th section of Surat al-Baqarah. Now the second part, mostly in all the musahif, in all the copies of the Quran, starts with سَيَقُولُ السُّفَهَاءُ مَا وَاللَّهُ مَنْ قِبْلَتِهِمُ الَّتِي كَانُوا عَلَيْهَا قُلْ لِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبُ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ إِلَىٰ صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ وَيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ عَلَيْكُمْ شَهِيدًا. And then the whole 2 sections, they discuss the issue of the changing of the direction of the Qibla from Jerusalem to Mecca. And now actually, as I told you at that time when we were discussing this ayah, because this ayah is just like that ayah which appears in the end of Surah Al-Hajj. وَجَاهِدُوا فِي اللَّهِ حَقَّ جِهَادِهِ هُوَ اجْتَبَاكُمْ وَمَا جَعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ حَرَجٍ مِلَّةَ أَبِيكُمْ إِبْرَاهِيمَ هُوَ سَمَّاكُمُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ مِنْ قَبْلُ وَفِي هَذَا لِيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ شَهِيدًا عَلَيْكُمْ وَتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ. Now this ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah tells that you have been made an ummah. Why? If you found an organization, if you found a party, if you organized a party, if you found even an association, you must first of all have what are the aims and objects of that association. What for are we founding this organization or party? The aims and the articles of association and the memorandum of that party. Even if you want to make a company, start a company for business, there are the memorandum and the articles of association. These are the rules which will be governing this business. So actually, what for has this great ummah? The members of this ummah are more than 1 billion today. What for? What's the goal? What's the aim? وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ وَيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ عَلَيْكُمْ شَهِيدًا. For this very purpose we have made you an ummah, so that you become witnesses unto the whole of humanity. And you will have to, and you will call to, testify on the day of judgment that, oh Allah, the deen, the message that came to us through your Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we conveyed to the whole of humanity. Just as our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is testifying for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unto you in this world through his da'wah, through his calling to you towards the path of Islam, towards practicing Islam and showing to you a model of Islam. And he will be called to testify against you on the day of judgment that, oh Allah, your deen, your message which came to me, I had communicated it to them. Now they are responsible. Now to fulfill this mission of Shahada ala nas, there are hardships. You have to go through hardships. You have to pass through tests and tribulations. You may have to sacrifice your lives. And that is actually the test of your iman, whether you really have iman or not. And that sabr which is needed, if you have to fulfill your mission, then actually you will be successful in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here after that discussion of 2 sections of Surah Al-Baqarah about the changing of the direction of the Qibla, and in that the ayah وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ وَيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ عَلَيْكُمْ شَهِيدًا. Then the 19th section is beginning with these ayat. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. O Muslims, O you who profess to believe, who claim to believe in Allah and His Messenger and His book and resurrection and the day of judgment and the life of hereafter and the Jannah and Jahannam, the hell and the heaven and paradise, who claim to believe in these things, ista'inu bis sabri was salah. get support, have help from two things. With sabr, patience, forbearance, fortitude, and salah, the prayer. But against what? This help is needed for what? For what purpose? This has been given already. You have to be witnesses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this world. You have to call people to the path of Allah. You have to convey them the message, the knowledge, the wisdom of Quran. You have to try to establish the deen of Allah so that you can show to humanity at large, to the whole mankind, come and see, this is the deen of Allah. This is Islamic society. This is Islamic brotherhood. This is Islamic equality. This is Islamic fraternity. This is Islamic freedom. This is the Islamic justice. You show to them. This is the society which has been made free from crimes. This is the society in which there is justice, there is fair play, there is equitable distribution of wealth. Unless you can show to the humanity at large a model of Islam, real Islam, actual Islam, total Islam, Deenullah, you have not done your duty of being witnesses to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, testifying in favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will not be able to stand up before your Lord, before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment, in the court of hereafter, and you will not be able to say, oh Allah, we did our job. We conveyed to them, the humanity at large, your message. And we produced before their eyes a model also. We could show them, this is deen, this is the deen of Allah. If you are not able to say so, you will not be, you will not have done your job. You will not be declared successful. For this cause, because there are going to be hardships, you must get help. But your help would come from two sources. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ista'inu bis-sabr. This is intrinsic thing, something within you. You have to have patience, forbearance, fortitude, be steadfast, bear anything which comes to you. Just you might be remembering the ayah included in the advices of Hazrat Luqman. Ya bunayya aqimis salah, wa'amur bil ma'ruf, wanha 'anil munkar, wasbir 'ala ma asabak. Oh my little dear son, establish the regular prayers, then you command to people whatever is true, whatever is just, whatever is correct, and forbid them from whatever is wrong, whatever is unjust. And then have patience and bear with forbearance and patience whatever comes to you. Because you know, truth is bitter. If you tell the truth in the face of a person, he will not like it. Al-haqqu murrun. Truth is bitter. There will be resentment. And the resentment can take any shape. There can be persecution. You might be beaten. You might be thrown in jails. You might be killed even because you are saying the truth. Just remember, maybe I have mentioned this in the discussions about Iman. What happened to Socrates? You know, his society offered him two alternatives. Whatever you are preaching, O Socrates, it is against our norms of this society. We believe in something else. You are preaching something else. And you are taking our youth astray. Now only two options are before you. Either you keep quiet, keep your mouth shut. You may believe whatever you like to believe, but you can't preach it. You can't convey it to others. Or if you can't keep quiet, then this is the cup of poison. You have to take it here and now. And the choice that he chose was, okay, he took the cup of poison, put an end to his life. I can't keep quiet. Whatever I think is right, and I shouldn't be able to say so. Whatever I think is unjust, I shouldn't be able to protest against it. Then I don't want to live at all. Life becomes meaningless for such a person. If he is a man of character in the real sense of the word, what to live for then? Like animals? Like human vegetables? No, no. A human being, a man of character, cannot live without tawasi bil haqq and tawasi bil sabr. He has to say whatever is correct. He has to announce and proclaim openly, loudly, this is wrong, this is correct. And he has to forbid others from something wrong. And he has to ordain others for whatever is right. So this is actually, this is the character, the tests of character. They will come to you. So that is the background. You must get the support from intrinsic sabr. Develop your willpower. You develop your resistance within yourself. to be able to bear, hunger, to be able to bear some physical persecution, something which is giving pain to you. You may be tortured. You may be tortured in torturing cells. You know all these things. These things happen in all these societies. These things are going on and happening. So first of all, you should have within you the fortitude, the forbearance, the patience, the steadfastness. And number two, Allah. Call Allah. Have a contact with Allah. This contact of your soul with Allah, the mean for that contact is salah. Establish salah. Ista'inu bis-sabri was-salah. You must now, for this very big mission that has been laid on your shoulders, the burden of that mission which has come to your shoulders, you will be able to fulfill these responsibilities only if you get strength from sabr and salah, from prayer. Keep on praying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will give you the courage. He will sustain you. He will support you. As you know, there's an ayah in the Quran addressing Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah says, "Wasbir, wa ma sabruka illa billah." O Muhammad, have patience. Bear it with forbearance. And you can only have sabr with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The nearer you are to Allah, the more forbearance and fortitude will be there in your body. The more you remember Allah, the more He will give you support and strength to bear all the tests and tribulations and pass through all hardships. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu ista'inu bis-sabri was-salah innallaha ma'as-sabirin. Verily, indeed, Allah is with the people who have forbearance, patience, steadfastness, fortitude. Even those people, Allah loves them and Allah helps them. If you are a coward, if you are weak of will, you want to do something, you can't do it. You want to be on the straight path, but you can't, bear the hardships that it entails, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't have any connection with you. He doesn't like you. Inna Allaha yuhibbul muhsineen. Inna Allaha yuhibbus sabirin. Here it is, Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. What is this ma'a? That Allah's help, Allah's support, it comes to those who show forbearance. If you show some patience, then Allah will help you also. Again, let me quote an ayah. In tansurullaha yansurkum wa yusabbit aqdamakum. If you help Allah, Allah will also help you. And He will make your feet firm. You will be firm in your stand. And you will be firm, bearing, all the hardships and the difficulties and the opposition and the resistance that comes your way. But if you are helping Allah, what is helping Allah? You are devoting yourself, your life, your all belonging to the cause of Allah, to establish His deen, to establish His kingdom on earth. According to the wordings of the Bible, Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done in earth as it is in heavens. If you do, and if you are working for that cause, you are helping Allah. In tansurullah yansurkum wa yusabbit aqdamakum. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ista'inu bis-sabri was-salah innallaha ma'as-sabirin. Wa la taqulu liman yuqtalu fi sabilillahi amwat. And never call those people who are killed in the way of Allah, who are martyred in the way of Allah. As I told you in some previous lecture, in the whole of Quran, for being killed in the way of Allah, never the lafz of shahada has been used. Except only there is a possibility at one place. Only one place in Surat Al-Imran. Perhaps it's ayah number 140, perhaps. I don't remember the exact number of that ayah. يَتَّخِذَ مِنْكُمْ شُهَدَاءَ. That is the only one ayah of the Quran where it is possible to interpret that shahada as being killed by Allah, by the enemies of Allah in the way of Allah. Otherwise, everywhere you'll find that the same word, qatl. وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ يُقْتَلُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتٌ. Don't call them who are killed in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they are dead. They are not dead, بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ. They are living. وَلَكِنْ لَا تَشْعُرُونَ. But you can't have the feeling. You can't have the consciousness. You can't know that they are living. They are living in another world. As a matter of fact, the concept of life according to Quran and Islam is that death is actually not an end of life. It's only a change of the condition of life, from one form of life to another life. This is Hayatul Dunya, the life of this world. As soon as you die, you enter the Hayatul Barzakh. That is also a life. In the grave also, in that Barzakh intervening period also, there is going to be reflection of your end after the day of judgment. If you are to go to the paradise, you know you will have a reflection of that. Coming events cast their shadows before, even in this intervening period. If someone is going to the hell, because he knows what he has done, you know the reflection of the things to come will start coming in his grave. Then the third life is actually the life of the hereafter, when after resurrection, bodily resurrection, then you know that is to die. So actually it's life all the way. But you know, change of life from one form to other. But especially for shuhada, it has been specified in the Quran that straight off they go to Jannah. Directly, without any intervening period. Not only in grave. In grave, every moment, every pious moment, every righteous moment is having a reflection of Jannah, is having a smell of Jannah. But the shuhada, people who are killed in the way of Allah, they go straight to Jannah. There's no intervening period whatsoever. That is why actually we find in Surat Yasin, the person, you know, who testified and believed in the messengers of Allah that came to that nation, that community, and the community killed him straight off. Allah Ta'ala made him enter Jannah directly. قِيلَ ادْخُلِ الْجَنَّةِ. It was said immediately, enter Jannah. قَالَ يَا لَيْتَ قَوْمِي يَعْلَمُونَ بِمَا غَفَرَ لِي رَبِّي وَجَعَلَنِي مِنَ الْمُكْرَمِينَ. And he said, how better it would be that my nation could know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me. My wife might be weeping that my husband has been martyred. My children might be weeping. Our father is gone. We have become orphans. My relatives might be grieved at my death. But I know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me. قِيلَ ادْخُلِ الْجَنَّةِ قَالَ يَا لَيْتَ قَوْمِي يَعْلَمُونَ بِمَا غَفَرَ لِي رَبِّي وَجَعَلَنِي مِنَ الْمُكْرَمِينَ. So those people who are killed in the way of Allah, they are never dead, and they don't have to wait to enter Jannah till the day of judgment. They go directly to Jannah. That is why the Prophet said about Hazrat Ja'far Tayyar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, when he was martyred, he was killed in the battle of Mota. The Prophet said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him 2 wings, and he is actually flying like a bird in the Jannah, on the trees of the Jannah. So this is the special, and why it is being said? You must be ready to risk your lives, and don't never think that you will be in loss. وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ يُقْتَلُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتٍ. Never think, never say, never call those who have been killed in the way of Allah, while making jihad for the cause of Allah, while going to war for the cause of Allah, making qital fi sabilillah. Never call them dead. Bal ahyaun walakin la tash'urun. The same ayah appears in Surat Al Imran also, because these 2 surahs are a pair, sisters. وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتًا بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ فَرِحِينَ بِمَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ وَيَسْتَبْشِرُونَ بِالَّذِينَ لَمْ يَهْلَكُوا بِهِمْ. Don't never think about it that whosoever has been killed in the way of Allah is dead. No. They are living. They are alive. بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ وَلَكِنْ لَا تَشْعُرُونَ وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ. Now this is a clear warning. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is foretelling the Muslims, and this is the beginning of the period of wars which are to come now, because this is the beginning of the Madani period of the Seerah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Surah Baqarah was revealed to him just after Hijrah and a short before Ghazwa Badr. All the ayat which were revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam during this period, about 17 months, they are either in Surah Al-Baqarah or a very small surah, Surah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the other name of that surah is Surah Al-Qital. These are the 2 surahs which were revealed, and not revealed in one piece. Surah Muhammad was revealed in one piece. It, the style shows that it came at once. Full surah, and it's a small surah, not a very big surah. But this is the biggest surah of the Quran. So ayat of this surah, they were revealed bit by bit, but they were added together, edited by the order of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they were made into one surah. So this is the beginning of that period of the revolutionary process of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which we call the armed conflict. Now there is going to be armed conflict. Now you Muslims will be required to go to war even, and to risk your lives. And with that, there will be other tests also. You have to pass these tests. You must think twice before you say that you are a Muslim. As I quoted to you many a times, the Persian couplet of Allama Iqbal, Chumi goyam musalmanam bilarzam, ke danam mushkilate la irada. When I say I am a Muslim, I tremble, because I know how difficult it is to be a real Muslim, a practicing Muslim. So that is the warning which has come here. Lest it should be said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't tell us before time that these things will come. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it clear, وَلَا نَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ. And we shall definitely, without any doubt, this style in the Arabic language, before the Failul Muzare, Lam maftuh, la, and Noon mushaddad, af'alo, I will do this. La af'alanna, I will definitely do it. There is no mode of emphasis greater than this mode in Arabic language. Not available. With all the emphasis at my command, I am saying you, I am telling you, I will definitely test you. This is the, interpretation. Listen from me with open ears. We shall test you. We shall put you to the hardest tests. This is the foretelling of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Lest you should say that Allah didn't tell us beforehand that these things are to come. That is why, when Ghazwatul Ahzab occurred, and there were the worst conditions for the Muslims. The worst day for Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam before Hijrah was the day of Taif. Personally, the worst day for Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam after Hijrah was the day of Uhud. But collectively for the Muslim Ummah, the worst period of testing was the days of Ghazwatul Ahzab. And at that time, the Munafiqun, they said with clear words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah and His Prophet, they deceived us. They told us that you will get, the empires of Persia and Rome, and the treasures of the Iranian and Roman, treasures will come under your feet. And what it has come to us? We can't go even out for the daily need that a person has to evacuate. We can't go out. We are surrounded from all sides. 12,000 strong army was surrounding that small city of Medina at that time. Ma wa'adana Allahu wa rasuluhu illa ghurura. Allah and His Messenger both made with us false promises. They deceived us. But the moments, what did they say? هَذَا مَا وَعَدَنَا اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ وَصَدَقَ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. This is what Allah and His Messenger promised to us. And they made a very correct promise, true promise. And that was this promise. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. We shall definitely, without any doubt, test you. What is this bala yablu? Ba lam waw. Bala yablu, to test someone. Ibtila yabtali, to test someone. Abla yubli, three forms it can take. Bala yablu in salasi mujarrad. Abla yubli from bab if'al. Ibtila yabtali from bab ifti'al. This is Arabic grammar. But meanings are the same. To test, to see whether somebody is true to his words or not. That is bala yablu. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ, and we shall definitely, without any doubt, test you. بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ, there will be fear. You will feel that it's the end. And it happened actually. At the time of Ghazwatul Ahzab, people said this is the end. This is the end of the game. 12,000 strong army has laid siege to Medina. And then the tribe of Banu Qurayza is there, ready to stab in our back. So actually we have no, La ya ahla Yasrib la maqama lakum al-yawm. Now we have no standing, no land before under our feet to stand. So actually this is the condition that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested them with, the total fear. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ. Hunger. You'll have to go hungry. This happened many a time. In Medina, before this treaty of Hudaybiyah and the victory of Khaybar, there was very strict and poverty, especially for the Muhajirin. Even Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his wives went days and days together without any food whatsoever. This was happening. Hunger. But بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ. And the loss of property and wealth and lives. نَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ. Loss of the wealth and property. And وَالْأَنفُسِ. And lives. You will have to lay down your lives. You will be required to lay down your lives, to sacrifice your lives, your properties, your wealth. وَالسَّمَرَاتِ. And also the fruits. What does it mean? It can have two meanings. Summer of a man is his progeny, his sons and daughters. Just as every tree has summer, the fruit. So in the same way, for man, his sons, his daughters are the fruit. And secondly, many a time it happened that the harvest is ready. There was very much scarcity of dates at the time of the battle of Tabuk. Scarcity, qahat. And then now the harvest was ready. The dates were ready to be plucked. And now there came the order, go to Tabuk. Go out to meet the Roman army. So this was the biggest test put to the Muslim Ummah, all the Muslims. Now because if women are left alone here, they won't be able to pluck the fruit of dates from the trees. It's a hard job. It will be destroyed. The whole harvest will be destroyed. But order is order. There's not to reason why, there's but to do and die. When the order comes in an army, the discipline is that you have to obey the order. فَنَقْسِمِ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. Loss of lives, loss of property, loss of fruit and harvest, loss of your sons and daughters and your progeny. وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. But O Messenger of Allah, O Muhammad, give glad tidings, glad news to those who have patience. Whosoever can have patience and forbearance and can show steadfastness, then for them is bashara, for them is the glad tidings, for them is the good news. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward them. Each act of theirs, each deed of theirs, each sacrifice of theirs, each hardship that they have borne, all will be rewarded in full. وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Who are those sabirin? الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Those whom whenever there is some calamity falls, there is some calamity, there is some distress, there is something which is painful for them, there is something which is torturing for them. Musibah, it covers all these things. الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. They say, we belong to Allah. We are actually bondsmen to Allah. We belong to Allah. This lam here is lamut tamlik. We belong to Allah. He owns us. He is our owner. He is our master. Whatever is coming from Him, we take it with patience, forbearance. We have no complaints. We have nothing to say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should not have done this. No. We are razi, birazaho. We are fully pleased with His pleasure. If He is pleased in testing us like this, well, we are ready. We are also pleased. Radiyallahu anhum wa radu'an. Allah became pleased with them and they remained pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This maqam raza, as I discussed in detail in Surat al-Taghabun. Ma asaba min musibatin illa bi-iznillah wa man yu'min billahi yahdi qalbah. Whosoever has real faith, real iman in Allah, Allah guides his heart. Guides his heart to what? To be contented, to be pleased with whatever Allah Ta'ala has decreed for me. Because whatever He has decreed, there must be some good for me. Although it appears to me, for the time being, presently painful. It appears to me that it is not very good for me. But Allah knows better. Because we shall read, inshallah, the ayah, Asa an takrahu shay'an wa huwa khairun lakum. There is the ayah in Surat Baqarah, Kutiba alaykum al-qital wa huwa kurhun lakum. O Muslim, now this going to war for the cause of Allah has been made mandatory for you. And you don't like it. Wa huwa kurhun lakum. Wa asa an takrahu shay'an wa huwa khairun lakum. You must understand, it's just possible that you might dislike anything. But in the end, it must be good for you. It can be good for you. وَعَسَىٰ أَن تُحِبُّوا شَيْءٍ وَهُوَ شَرٌّ لَكُمْ. And in the same way, it is just possible. You may like something, you may love something, but that thing might be injurious to you, harmful for you. وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Only Allah knows, you don't know. You see the external side and the immediate effects of any event. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is coming behind it. You know, if a child has been injected a medicine, well, he will cry. But anybody, any person who has the understanding, he knows that the doctor has given him a small pain. Why? For his benefit, to relieve him of the disease. Even if a surgeon is amputating the arm of a person, it is for his good, because you know it has become gangrenous, and now there is a threat to the whole body. To save the rest of the body at the cost of this arm is actually doing good to this person, not bad. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if he sends something which is not pleasant for you, you must have the faith and iman that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing it for my good. بِيَدِكَ الْخَيْرِ إِنَّكَ عَلَىٰ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Oh Allah, in your hands it is all khair, all good. You can't do anything which is shar. You are all khair, all good. As-salam. You are as-salam. You know, actually, the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Mu'min, As-Salam, Al-Muhaymin. These are some of the names which appear in Surat Al-Hashr. Al-Malik, Al-Quddus, Al-Salam, Al-Mu'min, Al-Muhaymin, Al-Aziz, Al-Jabbar, Al-Mutakabbir. He is Mu'min, he is the giver of the peace. He is Muhaymin, he protects you, he guards you. He is As-Salam, he is all peace. So actually, Allah Ta'ala, whatever He decrees is definitely beneficial for me, although it might appear at this time, presently it might appear to be unpleasant and injurious. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. They say, we are from Allah, we belong to Allah, and to Allah we shall return. We have to go to Him. He will reward us. If we show patience, forbearance, if we are sacrificing, if we are facing hardship, if we are spending our beloved things for the cause of Allah, if a mother is sending 7 of his sons to be martyred in the way of Allah, just imagine. But she knows it is good for her, it is good for her sons. Khansa al-Arab, who was one of the biggest poets of Arab, and she, you know, sent 7 of her sons to the battlefield, all martyred. So, but is it a loss? Was it a loss to her? No. Neither to her nor to the sons. Whosoever was martyred, قِيلَ ادْخُلِ الْجَنَّةِ قَالَ يَا لَيْتَ قَوْمِي يَعْلَمُونَ بِمَا غَفَرَ لِي رَبِّي وَجَعَلَنِي مِنَ الْمُكْرَمِينَ. It was just possible if they were living, they might have to face hardships. They might be facing difficulties in this world. All their difficulties come to an end instantaneously when they are killed in the way of Allah. So actually it is not something bad for them, it is good for them. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Ulaika alayhim salawatun min rabbihim wa rahmah. They are the people on whom the blessings of Allah come. Alayhim salawatun. The blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep coming on them, keep descending on them. I narrated a hadith that this is something very big which we are discussing at this time, to be martyred for the cause of Allah, to be killed in the way of Allah. This is such a big thing that the Prophet himself longed for it. I have told you that hadith, لَوَدِدْتُ أَنْ أُقْتَلَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ ثُمَّ أُحْيَا ثُمَّ أُقْتَلَ ثُمَّ أُحْيَا ثُمَّ أُقْتَلَ. I very much long and desire and love and like that I should be killed in the way of Allah. Then I should be resurrected. Then for the second time, another time, I should have that taste of being killed in the cause of Allah. Then I should be for the third time resurrected. And then I should have again the taste of being killed in the way of Allah. That was the desire of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This desire of the Prophet couldn't be exceeded. Why? He was Allah's Rasul. كَتَبَ اللَّهُ الْأَغْلِبَنَّ أَنَا وَرُسُلِي. It's the law of Allah. It's the permanent law of Allah. No Rasul of Allah can be killed. Anbiya could be killed. Only prophets, not Rasul, not messenger. Now this is a different issue. I didn't discuss it in any detail in any of the lectures. It's a very important issue regarding the wisdom of the Quran. What's the difference between Nabi and Rasul? So then, but here you must know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَتَبَ اللَّهُ الْأَغْلِبَنَّ أَنَا وَرُسُلِي. Myself and my messengers will triumph. That is my final decision. I have declared it. وَلَقَدْ سَبَقَتْ كَلِمَتُنَا لِعِبَادِنَا الْمُرْسَلِينَ إِنَّهُمْ لَهُمُ الْمَنْصُورُونَ وَإِنَّ جُنْدَنَا لَهُمُ الْغَالِبُونَ. Our law has already been passed, already been declared about the Rusul, that we and our Rusul, they will be helped. The Rusul, the messengers of Allah will get the help when they are threatened by their enemies, and our armies will triumph. So actually these are two places where it has been specified in the Quran in clear words that no messenger of Allah can be killed, and that is why Hazrat Masih couldn't be crucified. He was Rasul, not Nabi. Hazrat Yahya was only Nabi. Nabiyyam min as-salihin. In Surat Al Imran, there is the mention of Hazrat Yahya, then Hazrat Masih. About Hazrat Yahya, the last words are Nabiyyam min as-salihin. He was Nabi, but not Rasul. About Hazrat Masih, Rasulan ila Bani Israel. He was Rasul towards Bani Israel. He couldn't be killed. He couldn't be crucified. Anyhow, قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة وأولئك هم المهتدون. On them keep descending the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His mercy. And these are the people who will have the final guidance. What does it mean? Who will reach their final goal. Muhtadun. Ihtada, hada, yahdi, ihtada, yahtadi. To have the guidance. And guidance, I told you when we were discussing Surat Al-Fatiha, that it has different stages. To tell something to somebody, some right thing, giving him the direction, it is also hada, yahdi. To take him with you and to take him to his goal, this is the final, the stage of hada, yahdi, of guidance. That is why those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make enter the Jannah, the paradise, then they will be chanting the praise for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillahi alladhi hadana lihaza wa ma kunna linahtadiya lawla an hadana Allah. All praise be to Allah who had taken us to this place, who has guided us and who has brought us to this place. He actually brought us to this place, and we couldn't have the guidance, and we couldn't reach here, this Jannah, unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given us the guidance. So this is Ulaika humul muhtadun. This is the first lesson of our fifth part of this selected course of study. But I narrated and recited a few ayat more also. I thought that we can proceed at least with some of them. Let us begin. We have 5 minutes at our disposal. The first 3 ayat of Surah Al-Ankabut. This Surah Al-Mubarakah was revealed in the middle of the Makki period, rather before the middle. And let me give you here another point. I told you there are 7 groups of Makki and Madani surahs in the Quran. But actually they can be called to be 6 groups, because in the first group, Surah Al-Fatiha is only the Makki surah. Very small, although it's very grand, Ummul Kitab, but When you count it, it's very small surah. And all the surahs are Madanis. Surat al-Baqarah, Surat al-Imran, Surat al-Nisa, Surat al-Ma'idah. Actually, there are 6 groups, collections of Makki surahs in the Quran. And you can have that by and large. The first 2 group surahs, they were revealed in the last 4 years of the Makki period. The groups between the 2 middle groups, the surahs in those groups were revealed in the middle part of the Makki period. And the surahs in the last 2 groups, that is the last manzil, starting from Surat al-Qaf, these are the surahs which were revealed in the first 4 years of the Makki period. Makki period was 12 years. In the 13th year after the beginning of Wahi, the Prophet ﷺ migrated, made hijrah to Medina. So 12 years you can divide it into 3 parts, 4 years each. During first 4 years, the surahs from Surat al-Qaf to Surat al-Ikhlas, these were the surahs which were revealed in these early 4 periods, beginning. Then the middle, they were the middle surahs which were revealed in the middle period of the Makki part of the life of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then you know the last 4 years, the surahs revealed during those 4 years, they are included in the first 2 groups. This is actually the group which we are studying in Surah Al-Ankabut. That belongs to the middle group. And it was revealed in the 5th year after the beginning of Wahi. Now Hijrah is to come after 7 years. 7 years before Hijrah. And 5th year after the beginning of the Wahi, this surah was revealed. And at that time, the persecution of the Sahaba had reached its zenith. They were being beaten, especially the youth, and secondly, rather I should say firstly, the slaves. Because the slaves didn't have any rights, no civil rights, no human rights whatsoever. They were owned by the masters. They could kill their slaves at their own will. They were not responsible. Just as if you have a goat, you can sacrifice it at your own free will. Whenever you like, you can sacrifice the goat. Who can ask you something? Why did you sacrifice? Why did you kill? Why do you sacrifice this goat of yours? In this same way, because the slaves were owned by their masters. They were the owners. They could kill them. They were not responsible. They had not to go to any courts, not to have any punishment whatsoever. So the worst punishment and worst persecution was coming to the slaves, just as Hazrat Bilal radiyallahu ta'ala an, Hazrat Abu Faqih radiyallahu ta'ala an. There were female slaves also, which were being persecuted like anything. There was another category of Sahaba. They were neither Quraysh nor slaves. They were some foreigners which had settled in Makkah, and it was the rule of the Makkah. This was a small city-state of Makkah, having one tribe only, and that is Quraysh. Only a Qarshi could live there, or a slave of a Qarshi, or some Halif of a Qarshi. If some foreigner came to Makkah, he had to take the refuge and aman of some Qarshi. So those people, they also didn't have any rights. They were at the mercy of those people under whose aman they were living. And that is why, you know, Hazrat Sumayya radiyallahu ta'ala anha and her husband, Hazrat Yasir radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, they were both, you know, under the aman, under the refuge of the uncle of Abu Jahl who had died. And now Abu Jahl had every authority on them. That is why he could persecute them and torture them like anything. And as you know, he killed both of them. Murdered both of them, brutally murdered. So actually these were the conditions. And then the youth, because the youth, you know, they are, so to say, property of their parents and elders. They can do anything to them. So actually this was the persecution, physical persecution, which had reached its zenith in the year 5th after the beginning of Wahi. In those days, some people had some complaints. Why this persecution? Why are we being persecuted? Why is not Allah helping us? Why is not Allah holding the hands of Abu Jahl and all these Utbah, Walid ibn Mughira and Utbah ibn Rabi'a and so on? Why Allah is not holding? He is all powerful. He can hold the hands and he can save his, you know, faithful people who believe in him from this torture. Then these ayat were revealed. Hastily we shall only translate. Alif Lam Mim. Ahasiban nas wa yutraku. Did the people think that they will be left alone? They will be saved. An yaqulu amanna. On only saying that we come to believe. Hum la yuftanun. And they will not be tested. وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. We have been testing all people who were before them. Whosoever claimed, I believe in Allah, we tested him through tests and tribulations and persecutions. فَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ الْكَاذِبِينَ. And the real purpose of this test is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it clear who is a true mu'min and who is just making a false claim of being a mu'min. They have to be separated from each other, and they can be separated only through these persecutions and tests and tribulations. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعني وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم.